can I take a second and let the guys
We
know
we
it's gonna?
we are live right now.
Okay, how you doing?
So good morning, Howard Owens at the Batavian here. Actually, afternoon now. So we are doing another live stream interview. This time with Stefano Napolitano, chief of the city fire. We're going to find out about how coronavirus changes are affecting his department, what they're doing to keep firefighters safe, and what they're doing to serve you. So there you are, Steve. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. Good afternoon, Howard.
Good.
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Doing good. So first of all, just tell us kind of what's going on in the department and what you guys are up to.
Well, City Fire is has continuity of business going on under the current pandemic. We can't shelter in place. We have to have operations as always. All we've done is continued our operations, but we've added a number of precautions in order to keep staffing safe. Still respond to all calls for services, but we just do it in a little bit different manner.
Good. The I'm noticing. I'm hoping this isn't bothering viewers, but for some reason your sound and your audio's out of sync. I'm not sure if there's a way to fix that. We'll just have to go through it. So what we heard some before, kind of some of the precautions you're taking with your men responding, your men and your women, your personnel. So tell us kind of what how you're responding to calls now.
Well, the first thing that we're doing is we're ensuring good quality dispatch information in partnership with the Genesee County Emergency Dispatch Center. They're interviewing the people that are calling for services and providing us with any information to kind of pre-warn us if it could be a person under investigation. Then we're taking enhanced body substance isolation precautions, wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment. And then when we are responding to a medical call, we're keeping one person out of the residence. We're asking for people to come out of the residence, if possible, to meet us outside. And we're only sending one person in to conduct the patient assessment interview. Following the transfer of care to a ambulance service, if the patient needs transport, then we're going through a effective and complete decontamination process, the proper discarding of the PPE, cleaning of the vehicles, and then when guys get back into quarters here, we've set up a number of decon stations, like a boot bath that they would step into to disinfect the bottom of their boots. If there was a heavy exposure, changing of uniforms, showering, things of that nature, we set in several new policies and procedures, and I put out several different directives trying to isolate and confine and contain the virus to the outside and try to keep it out of the protective envelope that we have here at fire headquarters.
We're hearing a lot about potential problems with supplies of PPE. How are you guys doing?
Well, we are at this time we are in a positive position right now with PPE. However, we are drawing from our supply on a regular basis. We have a great partnership with Mr. Tim Yeager, the director of the Office of Emergency Management, coordinator of the Office of Emergency Management with Genesee County. Him and his staff are doing an outstanding job of providing us equipment as we request it. But we're being very careful to utilize our equipment to the best of our abilities that we can. We're not being wasteful, knowing that there's only a limited supply right now, and we're just trying to be smart with it. And we have good partnerships with Mr. Yeager's group, as well as some outside vendors. The the problem with the outside vendors, there's such a draw on the commercial system that our lead times, have gone up pretty significantly.
I'm going to just take a minute, and for those who don't know what PPE is, I should explain. It's personal protective equipment. It's face mask, goggles, and sometimes gloves, and sometimes outerwear. So, Chief, I know you're a very meticulous planner, and I'm sure you're thinking ahead. And the governor often talks about reaching the apex of this, and we may be 14 to 21 days away from that. We're all hoping that all the measures we're taking will really flatten the curve, but we really don't know what to expect and where things will go. And I'm sure you're planning for for lack of a better term, the worst case scenario. Just walk us through. You deal with the potential of your own personnel becoming ill, how you deal with that, how you adjust manpower, and then also, what role you will play, if we have a significant outbreak here in our community.
Okay, so that's a one big question with about 7 different parts. So I'll try to dissect that. So let me start off with your very kind and generous comments about me being a meticulous planner. I am truly a meticulous planner, and a pandemic or a situation such as this where the variables are uncontrollable, a person that has OCD like me, it puts me into a whole different orbit. So what we try to do...
Chief, can I interject one thing? I just want to remind people, sometimes people don't think about this. We're talking about kind of, preparing for things that could come that may never come. But a lot of people I don't think necessarily understand. Part of planning is sometimes you have to plan for those kind of worst case scenarios. If you're not planned, you're not prepared, you can't really deal with them. So I don't want people to be scared that we're thinking this is what's going to happen. This is what we're preparing for, right?
Absolutely. That's a great way to say it. In my position as fire chief, it's incumbent upon me to try to think about those things that everyday lay people do not think of. My job is to protect the public, along with Chief Highbush and Matt Worth's position from the DPW, the city manager, the assistant city manager. We all have a portion of under the all-encompassing umbrella. So, again, for me, a person that's a big-time planner, I try to forecast. I try to forecast my scheduling needs. I try to forecast equipment. But my OCD at times gets the best of me. And so what we're trying to do here is several different things. The first is we are in constant communication with the Genesee County Department of Health. We're in constant communication with the New York State Department of Health, the governor's office, the CDC, through a number of forms of media. And we get updated information on a regular basis. And excuse me, I forgot one, the Office of Emergency Management. So we get a lot of information. We try to decipher that and see how it's going to affect us here in the city of Batavia, number one. Number two, I have to look at my staffing models. What we're trying to do right now is adjust the staffing models to try to keep some of the firefighters, reduce the number of times they're in the fire station. So unless they're here for official business, even the off-duty firefighters, we don't want them back in quarters. Number three, what we're trying to do is offer some programs here where a firefighter can limit the number of times they're actually working. So our firefighters work 4 day tours and 4 night tours. So if we can get them to combine some of those, so they're only in the building twice and reducing the number of exposures or potential exposures. So we're putting in a number of systems and processes to try to eliminate all that. We're constantly, as we talked about earlier, looking at our cache of PPE. We're also looking at how do we reduce our exposure out in the public. The bottom line is, irregardless of what happens, City Fire will continue to respond to each and every request for service. Now, you asked the question, what happens if some of my staffing starts to become ill? Well, we have backup staffing that is off duty. We will have to bring them in. Also, we have contingency plans with other agencies to help fill our staffing needs if need be. So we look at it from a multifaceted approach, and we have multiple avenues that we can draw resources from, those being human resources as well as physical resources.
Good. So Chief, we know that everybody in your department are trained professionals who enjoy what they do, but this is a stressful time for everybody. They all have families too. How's morale, and how are you addressing that?
Great question, Howard. First of all, morale is at an all-time high. My firefighters, they realize that we have to be at our absolute best when things are not at their absolute best out in the public. So they're constantly excited about doing the job, but we all have reservations. So putting engineered controls in place to help keep them safe keeps their morale at a higher level, knowing that, the fire chief, with the cooperation of the city and the county, we're keeping them safe. So if they're safe, they're going to be able, when they return home to their families, going to keep their families safe. We continue to maintain their morale by getting back to our normal routines. If you noticed last week, this week, guys are outside training. They're stretching lines. They're flowing water. They're throwing ladders up. They're practicing forcible entry. Firefighters love to train. If we're not, fighting fire, we love to pretend and keep our skills sharp. So that helps keep morale up. We're maintaining their mental health and well-being by having proactive conversations about stress, strain, post-traumatic stress disorder, critical incident management. We're taking the necessary steps, providing them with the necessary tools that if they need to talk to someone or they want to have a discussion. We have 2 chaplains here for the fire department that are great venues that they can speak to. So we've put a number of systems again in place, and we're continuing our daily operations to keep things as normal as we can, and that helps us to maintain the high level of morale that we have.
That sounds great. Chief, was there anything else you wanted to add this morning?
Yeah, if I could take just a couple seconds to a little pontification, if you will. I want the citizens of the city of Batavia to know that you are well taken care of. You're going to be well served. We will get through this together. We've never seen anything of the likes of this since World War II, and our nation continues to come together. Look at the individual outpouring of support from all the local businesses in the city of Batavia, private citizens, the school, the city, the county, the state. Collectively, we will all get through this together. And if you have any questions or concerns, again, please call Fire Headquarters, 585-345-6375. We'll answer any questions. If we can't answer the question, we'll find the answer for you. We're here to be of assistance, not only from the fire and life safety side, but from a general aspect of we'll figure something out for you. We like to consider ourselves the MacGyvers of the community. Give us a paper clip, some black tape. We can make anything that you need.
Well, that's a great positive message to end on, Chief. I appreciate your time, and I'll let you get back to your duties. Really appreciate you coming on and helping people in Batavia know what's going on with one of our most important agencies.
Thank you, Howard. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. So this is Howard Owens with the Batavian with another live interview that we've done this morning with Chief Stefano Napolitano. And we are, hopefully, I think we're going to talk to an epidemiologist this afternoon, still working on finalizing that. And we'll cover issues throughout the day, so stay tuned into the Batavian. Thank you very much.